Hey guys, so I'd like to start by quickly going over the front end user stories and then we'll look at the code. So we start off on the home page here. We can go to campuses, which is very similar to home, but home has this footer that gives credit to these nice little icons that I used. So we go to campuses and then we have our students. So let's go back home. From here we can look at a particular campus. We have our nice little campus bio and our students. Here we can edit our campus, so let's go ahead and do that. Let's say we want to get rid of the campus to not be redundant, and then we want to be excited about our description. As soon as I submit my changes, they show up on that bio element, and we have our nice edited page now. Let's say we want to add a new student. So let's go ahead and add myself, Amanda. And let's say I have a 4.0, because yeah, I feel pretty good. So this is one issue that I noticed. I feel like I could fix this. Just did not even realize it till I was making this video, is that the campus doesn't default to the correct campus. It should default to campus ID 3 to be the default select here, but it still works. I can submit and there I am, and we can even look in post-to-co and let's look at our students. There I am. So we can also delete, but let's go to looking at students now. So we can go directly to my particular page, and we can toggle back and forth between the campus and the student. We can also edit, so let's say I didn't do so well on the checkpoint, and now I've got a 2.0 sad, and they're actually going to move me to the Luna campus now. So as soon as I submit my changes, we can see that yes, I've been moved and my GPA is a 2. Should be 0.0. That's something else I would want to fix, given more time. So let's go to the Luna campus and make sure I'm there on their list. So here I am. Yes, and yes, I'm here to reflect on my life choices. Let's say I am not doing so good and I decide to drop out completely. I can go ahead and remove this student of myself by clicking on the red X. Now I feel like it's kind of too quick. So if you just click on something, so I added this little alert that says, are you sure you want to do this? If you're not, press cancel. If you are, okay, and goodbye, Amanda. Let's check. Goodbye, Amanda. So we can, go directly to students and do the same thing. Edit. Let's say change the email, and now has a 3.9. Submit. And there we go. So the campus might have been an issue. I didn't even see what he had before, but there is an issue with it's keeping the previous state. It's not updating each time. So like because I selected Luna, it defaulted to Luna, but I don't know if he was actually on Luna. But so yeah. In this structure, I also only have it so that you can create a student from a campus page, because in my world, a student does not exist without its campus. You can be a self-student, but that means that you don't exist in this web app world, in this campus world. So let's go ahead and actually look at adding a new campus and deleting one. So we can add one, Starship. That was my one I was using for testing, and then we'll say blast off. When I create it, it brings me to that page, and I have this little icon that's from the other icons generated randomly. So I can go ahead and let's add a new student here. So I dropped out, but let's say I'm going to the new one, fresh start. I'll get a new ID and everything. And I'm coming in, doing okay, 3.0. And again, this is an issue I need to fix, but let's select Starship, and there I am. So let's say Starship didn't get the funding it needed, so we're going to have to delete it. Now if I click delete, you can see it says, are you sure you want to remove Starship, including its students? Let's cancel for now. We would expect that I then would also be deleted, and I'd have to figure out what to do from there. So let's go ahead and do it. Delete, yes. Brings us back to our campuses page. If I look in post-to-co, I did not refresh before I added it, but I'm not there. Let's just do that really quick one time. There I am. Well, I want to just show in post-to-co. There I am. There it is. And then when I delete, I'll refresh now, it's gone, and I'm gone as well. So I believe that kind of covers what we can do on the front end. We have our campus, we have all our views. We can edit a campus, including adding a new student or removing a student. We can edit a student itself. We can delete both students and campuses, and campus will cascade and delete all of its students. So let's look on the back end. Everything starts at my root component. I am importing the store here. I tried to connect it up to the store with React Redux, but was having issues. So I kept it this way. I plan to kind of structure it so that I am connecting up at my root component, but for now that's what exists here. I have a new student route is interesting. It's actually coming from the campuses. And that's so that I can keep track of the default campus ID. And that was also that I could have, when I add as a new student, so that that campus would be the correct default. And I don't know what's happening there, but the whole idea was I wanted to keep track of that so that I could have the correct default. But alas, I shall fix it over the break. So the rest of the components I did try to connect directly. I'll go through just kind of campuses, and everything that's done for campuses is similar to what's done for students. So for campuses, we have this kind of dumber component, which we're connecting up with router because I have a button that requires us to use history. So we couldn't access history from props with router. So, and I need to get rid of this line. I need to clean up my code a little bit. I kind of was rushing at the end here, but it's functioning. So we have, similarly, students is a quote-unquote dumb component. And again, we're connecting it. We don't need with router because I don't have any history except for for my buttons. I just have this confirm delete action. So when we want to create a new campus, we have this campus form. And we're using the campus form, similarly to the student form, when we want to create or edit. And so this campus form is going to take props from the edit campus and the new campus components, which you can see themselves are small. And these are just going to pass down like the appropriate logic of sorts or the appropriate props to apply for the campus form. So from edit campus, we're passing down the actual campus that we want to edit. And if it doesn't exist, it will be null. And so depending on if we are editing a campus, I have this set input action that will write the actual, in the input, the campus name and description. So, here, and it's writing that there before anything else, as soon as it mounts. Hence it's in component mount. Now, there's a lot going on. It's kind of messy, and I realize why for forms, maybe using a purely React component could be beneficial, because there's a lot more, you can be a lot drier, I think, with it. Maybe there's some way that you can write an action that takes maybe 2 parameters, like write, and then what you want it to write, and then the actual input. So you can avoid these ifs, but I just kind of went full force with it just to make it work in this case. But I did spend a lot of time going back and forth between the two, and finally decided to just stick with this one. Because you can be clever and say, you know, set state to be, if we're taking the event, then we have event.target.name is going to be event.target.value. Then you don't have to use all these ifs. Maybe there's another way around it, but I understand the purpose. And as well, is it really important to keep track of, you know, what's actually being written in the input? I think that it's not necessarily, you know, unless you're validating it, and even then, I think you can control it within local state versus global. Like once we're looking at the list of students, you know, or our website as a whole, is it important to know exactly what's happening in our input fields at all times while it's changing, or can we just keep it locally? I think that's a good question, and I might refactor it over the break. But so that's what's going on here. Now, essentially that was the most kind of difficult part, was getting the form to work for both create and edit, for both campus and student. If we look at our reducers, some interesting things here. Campus entry, so I had to, instead of having like state equals just an empty object, I had to give it particular properties that I wanted to access and give them like empty strings, so that when I did, you know, when everything loads up, the actual like global state of campus entry will have campus name and campus description there. Otherwise, it would just be an empty object. And so I'd like to have that there just to see that, you know, when my state is changing, what's happening there. The reducer for the campuses and students for edit and delete were interesting. We could do some array kind of manipulation here, and wasn't bad, but just had to think about it a little bit. Another interesting thing was in our routes, getting more experience with post and put. When you have a post and you have an association, you can't just create them simultaneously. Even if I am creating a student, knowing the campus ID, I can't just say student.create, you know, rec.body and include campus. Use like a object spread. You can do it if both the campus and the student are new, and you can, you know, nest them and include them at the same time. But if the campus already exists and we're creating a new student to be associated to that, it doesn't work that way with SQLize. So we have to first find the actual campus, and then once we have that campus from the database, we'll then build our student and just stage it, and then we can set the campus. We can do this because we're associating student belongs to campus, and then we can save the student with the association, but we still don't have the actual student.campus object, so we can actually manually set it here. Once we save that student, it will return to us, turn it into a nice object, and there we manually enter student.campus. And we need this. I need this because in my component, in particular, like single student, we have student.campus.id. I need that actual campus object to be able to render this single student page appropriately. So that was a little bit tricky. Doesn't work the way you would expect it, but once you are able to manually set that, you can return it, and it will have the actual campus object as well as the campus ID. And also here, when we're editing a campus or student, campus.update model.update will not return an instance by default. That particular instance by default after it's updated. Postgres has this returning true, but I wasn't able to get it to work, so I just did a kind of brute force, found the campus again, and then returned it. Delete works as expected, and then here when we're getting things, the include works okay because we're not creating anything new. And then we have another last thing is the seed file. So I created these manually, campuses, and then I was able to get these students randomly generated from another website. Really nice. So at the bottom here we can see that I'm not including campus with student. I'm including the campus ID here, but it will have that student.campus object. We will have the campus object within our student because they're both being created in the same promise chain. And I also have in the database my student default scope is to include campus. So that works. I believe that covers all of the interesting stuff. I didn't use Socket.js. I just want to point out that I need to in the future go through and get rid of all of the stuff that I'm not using to make it cleaner. But overall, I think there's some refactoring I could do over break. But I had a lot of fun making this, and I really like these icons. So I believe that's longer than 3 minutes. Call it a day. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.